got to get the radical by itself. So let's subtract 3 from both sides. So that is going to give me square root of x squared minus 9 is equal to 4. Alright, now the radical is by itself. So now I can square both sides to get rid of the radical. Alright, the radical and the squaring cancel each other out. So that will just leave me with x squared minus 9 is equal to 16. Now I just have to solve this for x. So I'm going to add 9 to both sides. So that'll give me x squared is equal to 25. Now, the way you solve this when you have x squared is you turn around and take the square root of both sides. Now, don't forget that when you take the square root of both sides, the solution could be positive or negative. So you got to do your plus or minus. So that will give me x is equal to plus or minus 5. In fact, I'm going to write this out the long way because maybe one of these is an answer and one of them isn't. So I'm going to write 5 or negative 5 for a moment. Okay, so now all we have to do is check our answer. Please remember, this is not optional. You must check your answer. Alright, so we can check our answer by substituting these values back into the equation. And we need to check them both separately. Let me just label this as check. Alright, so we'll check the 5 first. So that would be the square root of 5 squared minus 9 plus 3 equals 7. Alright, so let's check that out. So this would be the square root of 25 minus 9 plus 3. 25 minus 9 is 16. So this would be the square root of 16 plus 3 is equal to 7. Square root of 16 is 4. So that would be 4 plus 3. And 4 plus 3 does equal 7. So we have 7 equals 7. So that does check out. Alright, but we must also check the negative 5. Let me see if I can squeeze it in here. Alright, checking the negative 5. So that would be negative 5 squared.
Mr. Gillenwater, if you're in the building, would you please dial extension 123? Mr. Gillenwater, would you please dial extension 123?
Good old Mr. Gillenwater. And this is why we had two solutions in the first place, because 5 squared is 25, but guess what? Negative 5 squared is also 25. And from there, it's really the same exact thing. Okay, so both solutions do work, so that is the answer to number 3, 5 or negative 5. All right, let's take a look at number 4. All right, now this is a type of problem where we have a radical on both sides. Luckily, it's the same kind of radical, the fifth root on both sides. So there's no getting the radical on by itself because they're both radicals. So we can just skip straight to the part where we are going to do a power on both sides. Now, since these are fifth roots, to cancel them out, we will have to do the fifth power on each side. Okay, so if I do that fifth power, the root will go away. So I will be left with 8x plus 11 is equal to 5x minus 4. So I just have to solve this equation. Well, let's get these x's together by subtracting 5x from both sides. Alright, so these will cancel out, and that will leave me with 3x plus 11 is equal to negative 4. Alright, got to get x by itself, so let's get rid of this 11. Minus 11 on both sides, so that'll give me 3x is equal to negative 15, and then we'll just divide by 3. So that'll give us x equals negative 5. Okay, so that is possibly the solution, but we will not know until we check. Alright, on radical equations, checking your answer is not optional, it is mandatory. Okay, so here we go, check. So checking our answer means plugging this back in. So that would mean we will have the fifth root of 8 times negative 5 plus 11. And we're checking to see if that equals the fifth root of 5 times negative 5 minus 4. Okay, so the fifth root, 8 times negative 5 is negative 40. So that's negative 40 plus 11. And over here, we've got the fifth root. Alright, 5 times negative 5 is negative 25. And so that's negative 25 minus 4. Okay, so fifth root. Negative 40 plus 11 is negative 29. And negative 25 minus 4 is also negative 29. We really can't simplify this any further. So we're just going to go ahead and say, oh, look, this checks out. But let me just make something very clear to you. If these had been, let's say, the fourth root instead of the fifth root, this would be no solution right now, because you can't take the fourth root of a negative number. So because it happened to be an odd power, we can go ahead and say, oh, yes, this is the answer. But if this had been an even power, like fourth root or sixth root, then even though these are equal, like if we had, say, the fourth root of negative 29 is equal to the fourth root of negative 29, it would still be invalid because you can't take the fourth root of a negative number. Okay, so we would say no solution if that had been the case. So watch out for that. Maybe that'll happen later. Okay, let's take a look at number 5. Got to get the radical by itself. So let's go ahead and subtract 10 from both sides. So that'll leave us with negative 3 times the cube root of 2x plus 5 is equal to negative 21. Alright, got to get rid of this negative 3. So we will divide both sides by negative 3. So that is going to give us the cube root of 2x plus 5 is equal to positive 7. Okay? Now, now that the radical is by itself. If we want to get rid of this cube root, we can just cube both sides. Alright, so the cube root and the third power cancel each other out, so that will just leave us with 2x plus 5 equals. Now 7 to the third power, gotta look at our little chart here, 7 to the third power is 343. Okay, so subtracting 5 from both sides, that'll give us 2x is equal to 338. So then we just divide both sides by 2. Alright, and that is going to give us 169. So this might be the answer, but we must check this answer to see if it is true. So every once in a while, even though we did everything right, this answer still will not be valid. So let's plug it back in. So check. Alright, so checking our answer. So we have 10 minus 3 times the cube root of, let's see, 2 times 169 plus 5 is equal to negative 11. Alright, so please do not be tempted to subtract 10 minus 3 and get 7. That would be wrong order of operations. Alright, let's do the stuff inside this radical first. Okay, so 2 times 169 is 338. So we have 338 plus 5 is equal to negative 11. 343. Okay, now the cube root of 343, of course we would use our chart. So cube root of 343 is 7. So that would give us 10 minus 3 times 7 is equal to negative 11. Alright, order of operations, you have to do your multiplication before you do your subtraction. So 3 times 7 is 21. So this is 10 minus 21 equals negative 11. And 10 minus 21 is negative 11. So we have negative 11 equals negative 11. So it checks out. Alright, last problem. Number 6. See how we have both of these radicals in here? We're going to do this one similar to number 4. Let's get the each radical on opposite sides of the equation. Alright, so basically I'm going to move this over by adding this entire radical to both sides. Alright, so I'm adding the cube root of 3x plus 2 to both sides. Alright, essentially I'm moving it over. So that is going to give me the cube root of 6x minus 5 equals the cube root of 3x plus 2. Alright, now if I want these radicals to go away, I can just cube both sides. So that will cancel out the radicals. So that will leave me with 6x minus 5 is equal to 3x plus 2. So if we go ahead and get these x's together. Anytime you see x's on both sides of the equation, you want to get rid of one of those x's by adding or subtracting. So that will cancel these out. So that will leave me with 3x minus 5 is equal to 2. Okay. Of course, now we will add 5 to both sides. So that'll give me 3x is equal to 7. And time to divide by 3. So that will leave me with x equals 7 over 3. Alright, so this might be the answer, but we won't know for sure until we check. Alright, so we must check our answer. Okay, so here comes the check. Alright, so going back to the original equation, we have to do the cube root. Alright, so we have, let's see, 6 times 7 over 3 minus 5. Okay, minus the cube root of 3 times 7 over 3 plus 2. And that's supposed to equal 0. Okay. So this would be the cube root 6 times 7 over 3. 6 times 7 is 42. So this would be 42 over 3 minus 5. Alright. 3 times 7 is 21. So this would be 21 over 3 plus 2. Alright. Now 42 divided by 3 is 14. Alright, so we have the cube root of 14 minus 5 minus, okay, of course 21 divided by 3 is 7. So the cube root of 7 plus 2. And that's supposed to be equal to 0. Now 14 minus 5 is 9. So this would be the cube root of 9 minus the cube root of 9. Now we can't simplify the cube root of 9 any further, but we know that subtracting something minus itself will give us 0. So 0 equals 0. It does check out. Now once again, let me emphasize something to you. If this had been a negative number and an even power, this didn't happen, but let's say we wound up with something like this. The fourth root of negative 9 equals the fourth root of negative 9. If you ever see an even root and a negative number, that would have to be no solution. Okay? That didn't happen. They're not negative and they're odd, but it could have happened, so I just want to warn you now. But anyway, so far in this lesson, we didn't actually run into any problems where the answers we found didn't work. But still, you're just going to have to trust me that every now and then, even though you do everything right, sometimes your answers that you get are wrong. So you have to check your answers. Alright, I hope this has been helpful. I forgot to tell you to put your pencil down while you're watching this video. So hopefully you are not just copying off the video. Make sure you can do all of these problems by yourself. I'll see you on the next video.